All right, then. Welcome back now to the Zay's World channel. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts on Game 3 of the NBA Finals between the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. This was the first of the two games that the Dallas Mavericks are going to be playing for the next couple of days in Dallas, so they got the home court advantage right now. And yeah, the final score was 106-99. Home court did not matter. The Celtics still got the job done. They are up 3-0, and can't believe I'm saying this. They are one win away from getting banner 18 and having the most championships in NBA history for a franchise. That is insane to say, but we're not there yet. There's still one more game to be played, but let's go ahead and talk about this one. A couple of key factors. I wanted to just wanted to rewatch some of the highlights, and I noticed a couple of things. First off, let's just get the first quarter out the way. Definitely the Mavericks came out as strong as they needed to. Kyrie Irving, welcome back to the NBA Finals. It is very good to see you hitting shots well. He had 35 on the night. I mean, that is a vintage Kyrie performance. It is like there's certain players that you watch in the league, and it's just like no matter what uniform you wear, it's just so fun to watch you play. Kyrie Irving is one of them. He was hitting all the shots that you see him normally hit. I'm not great at describing, like basketball plays, but he'll start driving to the basket and then he'll just palm the ball up and just like lay it in. It's a thing of beauty. I just love seeing that. He'll at that. His 3-pointers finally fell. He had 4 of them in here. Remember, he hadn't hit a 3-pointer going into this game. So it was really great to watch him, rise up and finally, come back into the finals. But he did have 35, the most of the Mavs points, and he did hit all of his free throws as well. So it was good to see him perform. But at the end of the first quarter, the big issue was kind of like the Mavs was showing you a lot of what has got them here. We did see a couple of, I think we saw like a lob in the beginning in the first quarter. Like I said, Kyrie was going off, Luka was beginning to facilitate, and also he was beginning to go off too. He had 27 on the night. But after that first quarter, it was only 30-31, and a big portion of this that needs to be addressed is Kristaps Porzingis was injured. I'm not going to try to describe to you just what his injury was. It's something with his ankle. That's all we're going to say is that he just couldn't play, in this game. And because of all of his comments, he said in the last one, he's optimistic. He was going to go die out there. Joe said, nah, chill out, relax. You ain't playing for this game. We don't need you to win a finals game, okay? Because they've won so many games up until this point. And I know a big narrative was they need Porzingis to win the series, and essentially you would need him to win an entire series handedly. But after seeing how the Celtics performed tonight, yeah, the Celtics wouldn't need him to win this type of series. It would just probably be more games, probably 6 or 7. But the way this series is going now, looks like it's closer to a sweep or 5, as I predicted. So if my prediction comes true, that'd be pretty nice. But since Porzingis wasn't out there, Al got some minutes. But we also were going to see some Xavier Tillman, which was surprising to see in here. But Xavier Tillman did show up. I think a lot of people forget that we picked him up specifically because of Al's age and also because you never know about Porzingis' health. So, and that did come into fruition, and exactly why we picked him up is for this. He's not going to be the guy that we look to give us like 15 to 20 points off the bench. He's not doing that. But he is going to be very great defensively. He's also going to pack up the paint and stop some of those lobs. It wasn't like Lob City out here. They did just get a couple of them. But he's also very good at defending Luka, and he can close out well. That's one thing I noticed. He's not just a big that's going to stand in the paint and hover around it, and then once the guard tries to pull him out, he's slow to closing out on their shot attempts. No, he's actually very quick at getting their hand in their face. So it's good to see that. You know what they always say. You got to be ready when your number's called, and his number was called. He doesn't have that many playing minutes in the game, so he finally got minutes in here, and it worked out. Contrast that to the Mavericks. For the last couple of games, you've been hearing me say they got to bring out Tim Hardaway Jr. They need some pointing. They need some pointing. They need some points to generate an offense. It can't just be Luka doing everything. I said Kyrie was definitely showing up in this game, but you only really bring Tim Hardaway off the bench if you don't have Kyrie. I did not expect Jason Kidd to not just have 11 guys playing in this game, but also to have Tim Hardaway and Kyrie in the game at the same time. It really wasn't that good defensively. There was a lot of pull-up shots that not just Brown, but I believe also White could hit off of Hardaway, and that kind of really did work out to the Celtics' advantage when they wanted to take advantage of mismatch. They keep going by Luka. I think they had a stat like he has like 67% of a blow-by rate. That's insane to say. But it was funny to see that they have those stats up for him because defensively, Luka was trying to show up in this game. But going back to the point I made before, Tim Hardaway Jr. did not show up in this game. I have been begging for him to just come off of the bench to see if he can generate some offense. Good Lord, he did not generate any. Let me go ahead and read this for you. Tim Hardaway Jr. He played 19 minutes, 0 points, zero assists, zero blocks, zero steals. He didn't have any turnovers, but how do you really turn over the ball when you don't really have an effect on it? He had 3 rebounds, didn't shoot any free throws, of course, and yeah, it was bad. He was a defensive liability. Oh yeah, and a minus 16 on the court. So Jason Kidd tried it. He just seemed a little bit desperate here. Once again, you're bringing in Dante Exum, and I really feel like when you're bringing in Dante Exum, it really says like they really do not have they don't have as much help as they need. And yes, Luka and Kyrie were showing up, but they didn't have as much help as they needed. After the first half, it was only 50-51. And also, welcome Jason Tatum. His scoring, at least the scoring version of Jason Tatum. Welcome to the NBA Finals. Took you 3 games. It's all good. He wasn't going to be on a let's get a triple double type of night. He and Brown knew we both have to show up tonight to win this game and to put the 3-0 stranglehold on the Mavericks. So the fact that he had 31 points, he was still a minus, but he didn't have a lot of turnovers, only 2 of them, 5 assists and 6 rebounds. Hit all of his free throws. Brown hit 4 out of 5 of his free throws. Love to see it. And Jason did shoot 13 threes, and that is something that I do expect, but he only hit 4 of them, but it is good to see him hit his, 3-pointers, to see that shot go in. But it's nice to see him get, 30 points, which I expected. That's what I was expecting him to average in the series. He did average in the Eastern Conference Finals, but hey, it's nice to see him show up. Brown gave us 30. Love to see it. Like I said, missed only 1 of his free throws, and then 12 for 22 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3. So he was chucking them up as well as Jason, but he wasn't hitting as many. But they both played really, really well in this game. Derek White, as I always say, whenever he pulls up for a shot, I always say, Derek White, here he comes to save us again. He had a huge shot in the fourth quarter. I'll get to that in a moment. But he did have 16 points. He was a +3. And he does everything that you need. If you could clone Derek White like 29 other times and put him on every other roster in the league, maybe the league would be. The league is very balanced now, but every single team needs a Derek White, someone who's just around the basket when you need them to be. They make the right pass, they make the right shot. There were a couple times when you could see in this game he just had to shoot it. Like he would just rise up and shoot, and that's his confidence coming back into himself. Hey, I can score 20 to 25 points in this series if it needs to be. And because Porzingis wasn't in this game, you can tell that everyone else said we got to score a little bit more. Holiday, who's been great for us the last couple of days with scoring, he was great at trying to get a defensive effort once again on Kyrie. But Kyrie, hey, like I said, Kyrie was going to have one of them games. Holiday did have 9. He had a great shot over Kyrie. You could tell that he was really disrupting Kyrie's offense through this series. So those two felt like they were matching each other, not shot for shot because Kyrie was great offensively, but we definitely needed Holiday's defensive presence in the backcourt since both of their offensive players were going to go off tonight. But man, like I said, after the first half, it really did. That pretty much told me we were really confident in winning this game because we don't have Porzingis. And yes, Jason showing up, and that doesn't make up for Porzingis' points, but it helps. But you can see that if you're only down by 1 and you finally have what you were wanting before, which is Kyrie to come along for the party and be a part of the finals and actually play well, that third quarter was something. The Celtics pretty much just looked like the Celtics. They were passing the ball around a lot more. Horford, I just love how Horford he's been with the Celtics for so long. He also knows the right reads and screens to set. He knew that his shot wasn't going to be falling the way he needed it to, so he just began to set his screens and get where he needs to be to disrupt defenders, or to disrupt guys like Gafford as well as Washington too. So that opened up the floodgates for the third quarter. The threes started to hit. The Jays started to feel each other a lot more in the third quarter, and it began to become a 21-point lead at one point. It was 21 points. Well, let me just go ahead and tell you how it felt. It was crazy seeing them go up by so much, but the momentum really started to run up once once Jason hit like a three or two, and then Brown was at the top of the key, and he just blew by his defender and just dunked it. And I was like, wow. And that was right at the end of the third. And I was like, damn. I was like, it really is looking crazy out here. And then when Xavier Tillman hit his three, that was also surprising too, because he hadn't hit a three in the entire. He hadn't even attempted a three in the entire playoffs. So to see him hit one was actually pretty good. But I'm trying to think here. The beginning of the fourth, for them to be up by that much, I mean, you really thought the game was over, but credit to the Mavs. The NBA is a game of runs. There is no lead safe, as I've been saying this time in and time out. There's no lead safe. So, they did have a lot of other guys kind of not just hit three. They had PJ Washington hit a three. They had Green hit a three. Luka was hitting his mid range. Kyrie was hitting his mid ranges. You got a couple of great rebounds from Lively and Gafford. They were getting some dunks in there. And before you knew it, that 21-point lead was gone. It got within two up until Luka. There was 4 minutes and 12 seconds left on the clock, and Luka had picked up his sixth foul. This is crazy. I didn't even notice that he just love that. I hadn't even noticed that he picked up his sixth foul and he was fouled out. I didn't even notice that by the time that he had actually been fouled out. They showed a couple of his other fouls, but he wasn't set. And I think that this plays into Luka's weakness, which is his defensive approach. He comes across a lot like a James Harden to me, but in the playoffs, he rises up, unlike Harden. But he does play a little bit like him. He loves his step backs. He's gonna get his mid ranges, and of course, he's gonna get to the line, and he's gonna give you 30 to 40 a night. This was actually a bad game by him because he only had 27. But in hindsight, looking at these fouls defensively, it's just based off the fact that he was playing so hard defensively because he didn't want to go down 0-3, that he has his hand in the cookie jar with one foul, I think, on Pritchard, and then he ends up fouling Brown twice. I think his fifth foul was like ticky-tacky, but the sixth one was definitely, I mean, you weren't set, and so he's screaming at the ref, or he's not screaming at the ref, he's screaming at his bench, like, and the coach is like, you better effing challenge it. Of course, why wouldn't they challenge it? Dude, you're the star player, of course going to challenge it, relax. But the funny thing is the fact that they challenged it and they were quick. They were like, hey, he's fouled out, let's just move on. And narrative-wise, you would think, okay, Kyrie, this is your Superman moment. Okay, great. Back in 2016, LeBron needed you to come back 3-1 against the Warriors. Can you help the Mavs win this game so you're not down 0-3? And he tried, but he tried to recreate his 2016 shot he had over Steph when they were within two, but he couldn't get it. And for the last 4 minutes and 12 seconds, it wasn't back and forth because the Mavs did get within one, but Brown hit a huge shot with, I think, like 102 left, a huge mid-range over Hardaway and Kyrie kind of defending him. And it really did seem like after that, they were just calm, cool, and collected. A lot of narratives were shut down today as far as can the Celtics win in a clutch moment, and they just can. Jason was able to get some clutch free throws. Like I said, White hit a really big three with, I think, a minute to go, and Brown hit that mid-range. So it's really rewarding to see them show up in moments when they've been challenged and criticized so much for not showing up beforehand. They showed you this with the Indiana series when they were able to come back and win, that first game, and then they were down by 13, I think, in game 3, and they were able to come back on the road, and then in game 4 they were able to close it out, and it was still close. They already have been battle tested, so it really does show you that they were comfortable in those moments. They weren't too scared, and there's a lot of mic'd up moments between Jason and Jaylen when they were just pretty much telling each other, like, we got this. And it is good to see both of your stars be calm, cool, and collected and show up when you need them to. That pretty much wraps my recap for it. I know you guys are tuning in for these. I appreciate you guys for tuning into them. The second video is doing pretty well, and I feel like as the series goes on or as these games go on, maybe more people will tune in because they like to see a Celtics fan kind of be happy about it. It's been 16 years since the last title. That's a very, very long time, and they always win a championship as a team. And I think that that's what they're showing you now. So it is really, really good. Shout out JJ Redick for saying on the podcast. It's great to see, no matter what happens in the series, because it's not over, it's great to see a great team playing in the finals where you look at 1 through 5 and you're like, all of them can play well. And it's not it could be viewed as a super team, but we'll get to that agenda later. They got to win the title first. Anyway, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you again next time for Game 4. Closeout, sweep? You tell me in the comments. Peace out.